Howdy everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. Alright everyone, so today we're going to be making a chocolate and peppermint bark cheesecake. So let me tell you, this recipe is a very basic cheesecake recipe and I decided to add the chocolate peppermint bark in it. So that is an optional ingredient that you can completely leave out. Let me show you what the ingredients are going to be. Alright, for my crust, I'm going to need 1.5 cups of crushed graham crackers. You can use any other cookies if you want to do that, maybe some Oreos, but I would crush these very fine. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of regular granulated sugar. You're going to need 4.5 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter, and that is going to be for the crust. For the filling, we're going to need 32 ounces of cream cheese. I used 4 8-ounce boxes, and I have 1 1/8 cup of granulated sugar right here. I have 4 whole eggs plus 1 egg yolk. And then also here I have a 1/2 cup of some heavy cream. I have it all written down right here, so that's why I'm looking down. I'm going to need 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. This is 1 teaspoon of lemon zest. Now my little lemons were really small, so I had to grate 2 of them. And then I've got some cornstarch here, and that I need 2 tablespoons of that. Now my optional ingredient would be some chocolate and peppermint bark. So I'm going to cut this up into little pieces, and then if you want to garnish on top, you can use some peppermint stick and crush them also, or use those little Star Mint candies. That is completely up to you, maybe even some shaved chocolate on top. Alright, like I said, that ingredient can be completely left out. I've got my oven preheated now at 350 degrees, and so we want to go ahead and get started. Alright, I've got my springform pan ready here, and you can just spray it with some baking spray. I didn't have any, I only had one that had olive oil, and I didn't want to use that, so I went ahead and I lightly buttered it, and then I put a tiny bit of flour. I really don't think you should put flour when making a cheesecake, but I had no other option, so I went ahead and I did that. And then I've covered it with some foil around. This recipe states that it does not have to be in water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and link you the recipe in the description box below. Plus I'm going to go ahead and put all the list of ingredients as they're listed in that recipe in the description box if you just want to copy and paste. Okay, so then I've also, like I said, I've covered it with some foil. It does not ask me to put it in another pan or anything else, but I'm going to go ahead and do that because I really don't trust the springform pan. I feel like it just, if I lift it, it could just fall apart, especially when I have all my filling in there and it's heavy. So I've gone ahead and I just put it on a little cookie sheet. Unfortunately, my cookie sheet was not big enough for me to place this inside of it, but I'm going to place it on the bottom. I just turned it over and put it on there so that I can lift it this way to put it in and out of my oven, and I'll just do that very carefully. So that is prepared. Let's get on to the next step. Alright, so what you want to do now is take your food processor and crumble up all your cookies. Again, I am using graham crackers. Now I am using some that are flavored with cinnamon, and they do have some sugar on top, so I think they'll be extra tasty. Now my food processor wasn't working, so I've gone ahead and gone the hand route. So if you don't have a food processor, this is what you can do. You can just crush up your cookies with your hand if you want, and then you can use a rolling pin to crush them even further. Now if you don't have something where you can crush them on so that you can just pour them into a bowl, you can do it inside of a plastic Ziploc bag. So that's just what I'm going to do, and I'm going to crush enough for 1.5 cups, because I don't know exactly how much that is. I didn't want to just take all my cookies and crush them all up at the same time. This amount that I have in this bowl is 1 sleeve, and this 2 sleeves came in a box that I purchased. So just to give you an idea of more or less what I pulled out to do this. Okay, so we're just going to crush these up until we have 1.5 cups. Alright, I've gone ahead and I've mashed up my cookies very, very finely. As you can see here, it is 1.5 cups of those graham crackers, and as you can see, I have some left over, and I started off with a package of this size, and that is what I have left over, just to give you an idea of how many cookies you'll need to crush up for that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pour this into a bowl here, a nice little bowl, and then we're going to go ahead and put the 2 tablespoons of sugar, We're going to mix that up really well. Now, if we had a food processor, of course, this would be a lot quicker, but we're going to use our hands and a fork. And then I'm going to use this melted butter. I did have it out for a while, so it solidified again. So I just melted it again and let it cool off. This is 4.5 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Pour that right in. I want it to be nice and blended and moist looking so that we can press it into the pan. So just mix it up really well till it's all well and blended. Wow, that smells so good. Let me show you how that's looking. And that is how it is, the consistency, where it kind of stays together if you press it. All right, so let's get our pan so that we can go ahead and get this in there. All right, so we're going to pour all this right into the bottom of the pan and spread it out evenly. I have a little bit more left in the little bowl. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to press it down onto the bottom of my pan. So I'm just going to start lightly for now, because just in case I need to move it around and level it up, I can. So I'm just going to lightly just press it so that it is everywhere, all the way around at the bottom of my pan. And now that I know that I've evenly dispersed it, I can go ahead and just press it down a bit more. But I'm being gentle because I don't want that bottom of that springform pan to pop out on me. I'm always afraid of them. Okay. All right, once I've got it pressed down, and I'm probably going to press it down just a little bit more, then I'm going to go ahead and put this in my oven, which has been preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 180 Celsius. Like I said, I am going to be putting this in the description box below, so don't worry about that. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in for 10 minutes, just till it gets golden brown, and then I'm going to pull it out, put it on a wire rack, and let it cool. So let me go ahead and do that, and in the meantime, we'll go ahead and get started on our filling. Okay, I've gone ahead and I've pulled out my crust from the oven. It was actually 8 to 9 minutes, not 10 minutes as I told you. So we're going to go ahead and put this aside. It has already been cooling off, but I'm going to let it cool off some more while we do our filling. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start on my filling, and I've got my cream cheese in my bowl of my stand mixer. You could use a hand mixer if you don't happen to have one of these. And now I'm going to add a little bit more because I've added a little bit at a time. Let's get this up here. We want this to get real nice and soft and creamy. Okay. And every once in a while, you can just scrape it off the sides of the bowl. I've got this cream cheese pretty much softened all morning, but it got a little bit cool, so I think it just kind of hardened up a little bit. So I'm just making sure it's nice and soft before I add my sugar. Okay, again, the recipe will be in the description box below. So now I'm going to go ahead and start adding my sugar. Okay, so let it mix for about 1 minute or two, and in the meantime, be scraping your cream cheese off the sides so that it can all get really well blended and get it really nice and creamy. Okay, so my cream cheese and sugar is really nice and creamy now, nice and smooth. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the 5 eggs. Now remember, it is 4 whole eggs and 1 egg yolk that we're going to be adding, and I'm going to add them kind of slowly in there while I let my mixer go on a low speed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and scrape this down and mix it up a little bit more and make sure it is now well blended. I can see some of the egg yolk here on the side of the bowl. So I want to push that down and make sure it all gets, and let me tell you, it has been smelling so good in my kitchen because I have had my vanilla pre-measured and my lemon zest also done, and they've been sitting here all this morning, and I feel like I'm going to get my lemon zest really dry, but no, it's actually still pretty moist because I'm in a humid area, so it's stayed really nice. Otherwise, I would wait to grate the lemon zest till you're ready to use it, but I wanted to have everything ready. Okay, I'm going to mix it up just a little bit more to get all these bits that were on the sides all blended in. All right, so now I'm going to add the cornstarch and get that to blend in there really well also. And my heavy cream. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the speed a little bit. I don't want it to splatter, so just be careful. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and add my vanilla and my lemon zest into my mix here. It looks and it smells so good. Okay, so now my cream cheese mixture is really nice and creamy and smooth, and that is what we want. And this is actually ready now to be poured into our prepared pan with our little crust that has already baked and cooled on there. And I have also set my oven now at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 220 degrees Celsius. And that will now bake the cheesecake for 10 minutes, and then we'll lower the temperature to 225 and bake it for about 60 minutes. So, like I said, this is ready to be poured, but I am going to do something a little extra, and this is why I'm adding this particular item, and I am adding this chocolate and peppermint bark. And now, like I said, this is completely optional. If you want to add something else, you can at this point. But this is what I'm adding, or you could just leave it as is. I think the recipe on its own would be so delicious. So I'm going to add some of this, and because it has chocolate, it'll melt in there and it'll kind of do a little bit of a swirl. So I'm just breaking it up into pieces with my fingers. Okay, I'm only going to add a little bit, which is maybe about a cup or so, and you can decide how much you want to use. All right, I'm back, and let me show you how beautiful that looks. And I'm going to go ahead and put these little candy bits into my cream cheese filling by hand, insert it by hand rather than putting it and then using my stand mixer or a hand mixer. So I just kind of want to fold them in there. Let me get all these little crummies in there. Okay, so now this is ready to be poured into my pan. And let me go ahead and get the pan that I want to put underneath it. Because like I said, I was a little scared to just lift it up like that with all the weight. So I'm using a pan underneath it. Okay, let's pour that in. Now I've got some bit of cheese at the very, very bottom that didn't get mixed in. I'm not gonna grab that and put it in. It's just a very little amount. And the reason I'm not doing that is because I don't want these chunks of cheese in there. I want everything to be nice and smooth. Look how beautiful that is. So just at the very bottom, some of this cheese didn't get mixed in. So you want to make sure you scrape also at the bottom of your bowl, which I obviously didn't do. So let's go ahead and, you can learn by my mistake. So we're just going to leave that out. Because I don't want like these really tangy bits of cheese in my pie. So I just want to make sure this is kind of just spread out, and it pretty much spread out on its own, and it's leveled off. There we go. It looks beautiful. I'm going to give it a little taste, even though it does have some raw eggs in there. And I got a little crunch of the peppermint, the bark. That is delicious. Okay, this is going to go in the oven, like I said, 425 for 10 minutes, and then we're going to lower it to 225 and leave it for 60 minutes, and we'll be back. All right, everyone, I have had the cheesecake in the oven for an additional hour, and I have not opened the door till now. So we're going to take a look at how it looks, and it's supposed to be golden on the edges and wobbly in the middle, and that's exactly how it is. I don't know if you can see it wobbling around, but now I'm just going to leave it in the oven, and I'm going to leave the door partly closed like that, just open a little bit, and I'm going to leave it in there for another hour and let that set. All right, so here is my cheesecake. I've now pulled it out of the oven, and it did get a really big crack in the middle, but I don't mind it. I think it looks beautiful. Now I've got to put it in the refrigerator, but I've got to let it first cool off completely. It is warm to the touch here, but I've got it on this little rack here, so it'll completely cool off. Then I've got to put it in the refrigerator for at least 12 hours, and then we can cut into it. But oh my gosh, even that crack, looking right into it, it all looks really good. It is really pretty. So we're going to have a taste of it tomorrow. So we'll be back. All right, everyone, I have pulled my cheesecake out of the refrigerator. It has been in there overnight, and it is nice and firm. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this open, and hopefully everything will be perfectly fine. I can already see that it's already kind of pulled out of the edges, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of take my little end of my fork here and put it in there. Let's find out. Yep, it's come off the sides. Oh, a little bit of scraping, that's okay. Put this out of the way, and there we go. Oh my goodness, look at that. Okay, so we're gonna put it on the platter here, just for a pretty presentation. I think it looks absolutely delicious. We can go ahead and sprinkle some little peppermint that I've crushed up here on the top of the cheesecake to make it even more decorative, but I think it looks pretty just as it is. But I would like to serve it on a little plate, so we're going to cut into it and then give it a little bit of a presentation while it's on the plate. Okay, so we're going to cut off a slice of this yummy looking cheesecake. There you go. It is nice and thick and quite dense in there. There we go. That crust is really nice and thick also at the bottom. Let's see if I can get this without destroying it. Oh my goodness. Here it comes. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at the crumb underneath there. That looks fantastic. And there's the other side. Let's go ahead and plate that. Wow. Look at that. It is so beautiful. I can't even begin to tell you. I'm going to take a little taste of this little bit here on the side. But, oh my gosh. Delicious. I'm going to top this one off with a little bit of whipped cream. Just like that. And then I've got some little crushed peppermint stick here. Put a few little bits up on there. And that's how I would serve it. This is my chocolate peppermint bark cheesecake. I hope that you will enjoy it and give me a big old thumbs up, because I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up. Oh, let me show you the inside. Right in there so that you can see how lovely that looks on the inside as well. All right, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Leave a nice comment down below. Share on your social medias. Merry Christmas to everyone. Hit that notification bell. And as always, enjoy.